Lechniak. Welcome to this episode of the 502 Report. When construction on a stretch of Dixie Highway came to an abrupt halt this summer, residents and business owners in the area were left to wonder why. The answer is actually quite unexpected.
I know a lot of people that won't drive it. I've seen construction ahead, but I see no construction.
There's been twice as many wrecks.
Have a hard time seeing over that big mountain of gravel.
Never a dull moment on Dixie Highway.
I've been here on Dixie Highway for 8 or 9 years. When you're pulling out, you got to get out or somebody's going to hit you. And then just hard to get in. I know of a few customers went somewhere else just because it's easier to turn in.
I appreciate that they're trying to make the traffic flow better, if that's what they're doing. But at the same time, I feel like they're neglecting the businesses, and the appearance is just, it's horrible.
Hi, how are you today?
They'll tell me or call me and say, well, I was going to come by today, decided not to, can't get in your parking lot. It's almost impossible to make some of the bills right now. It's just a big mess, and I don't see anybody even working.
There's been a lot of misconception over the different projects along the Dixie Corridor. There's actually 2 projects. We have what we call the Dixie Redo. It's a Dixie Highway complete redevelopment project. We're also having to repave and upgrade Dixie Highway. Once they tore up the roads, they realized there were some issues with MSD and with the water company. Our last delay had to do with bats. I'm a protected Indiana bat.
An endangered bat. What about it endangering the people's lives on the road?
We've got to respect it, but I think that research should have been properly done prior to putting everything at a halt.
A bat's doing all this. Why?
There's trees that have to be removed in order to proceed with the project. Those particular trees could not be removed at that time.
Most people don't realize that trees are very important to bats. Most people think that bats only reside in caves. They also roost in trees. They are saving farmers billions of dollars by eating the pesky insects that would attack their crops.
We have absolutely been on top of this issue. I'm working with the state, letting them know what an urgency this is, how important this corridor is with us.
A change in philosophy at the Kentucky Science Center is turning little ones into engineers and scientists without them even knowing about it. Here's a closer look.
We've always been in the business of encouraging people of all ages to do science in exciting ways. What's new at the Science Center is this entire first floor renovation called Science and Play.
A lot of the history of museums was a lot of content pushing, whereas with Science and Play and the way museums are heading, it's a lot more about the visitor, it's about the learner.
The philosophy of Science and Play is a very different approach. So when you come to Science and Play, you'll see there's a lot of stuff. There are big things and small things to manipulate. And we know that notion of open-ended play and loose parts play is something, again, that gives children the opportunity to problem solve, to do things in new and different ways.
We're not telling them that this is a grocery store or a hardware store. We're just saying, here's some shapes and stuff. What would you like to do with this? Did we go shopping?
Yeah, we found a purple ball.
We did find a purple ball.
When I was a child, it was more looky and play. There was not a lot of touchy.
Making a big, big ball.
So I think tangible things are very exciting for her.
I think it's a wonderful place with all kinds of different experiences, hands-on activities, just all kinds of exciting new and different things that we don't have at home that he can enjoy doing and playing with, and I can interact with him, and he can meet other kids and play and have good experiences with other children as well.
A lot of this is, again, introducing an idea, a concept. In roller coasters, when you drop a ball, what's it going to do? It's going to drop. But then you ask the question, well, why did that happen? And through those questions, the student or the visitor or the child is able to respond back, well, you know, it fell to the ground, but why? And so then we're able to say, do you think maybe that's because of gravity?
Okay, there you go.
It's a process. It's a process of learning. It's asking questions. It's critical thinking. It's problem solving. Science and Play is really the basics of the science and engineering practices.
The water's fun because it's new And new stuff is cool.
It just gets their brain thinking outside of the box about, instead of creating problems, how to create solutions. They go home and start creating things. You know, it's not uncommon for them to pull out their blocks and start building something, and, you know, and I think that has a lot to do with what they see here. They try to replicate that at home.
Where I see the click, that moment, is with adults. It's that moment of, oh, cardboard boxes. I get it. You know, my kid wants to play with a cardboard box, not with the toy that makes lots of noise that's inside of it.
What's the first thing that you want to do every time you come here?
I want to get to the science room.
Why?
Because they have science.
She was all raring to go, knew she was going to come, and I said, Brinley, are you ready? And she said, let's go to the Science Center. When you are young, you learn just naturally, and you play and experiment. You have no fear. You haven't been told, no, you're wrong. And so that opens up the world.
Yeah, let's get our mail on.
There are ways to play, learn, and even do science in your everyday world.
What are they wanting to learn about? How can we encourage that process? So that's a really big push, not for just museums, but especially for science and play. It's all about that student. What is it that they need for their experience? And of course, that translates into what does that student need to be kindergarten ready?
The Kentucky Science Center is even offering grown-ups a chance to play with science. For more information, go to kysciencecenter.org. Two of Metro Louisville's innovation gurus are moving on to other roles in the community. Chief of Civic Innovation Ted Smith will serve as CEO for Revon Systems, a health technology company.
So cities all over the country have innovation offices and are really trying to figure out how to co-create their communities with their governments. And so it's just been a wonderful and fun journey so far.
And Chief of Performance and Technology, Teresa Reno-Weber, will move on to be CEO of Metro United Way.
For your vision of an Office of Performance Improvement and a data program that would empower every Metro government employee with the information and the tools necessary to continually improve the work that they do and the services that they deliver to citizens across Louisville.
Two new leaders will take over their duties in the coming months. The Louis Lab will be a hub for collaboration between the city and private companies. It'll house the new offices of the city's Office of Performance Improvement and Innovation. A new product manufactured here in Louisville will help keep threats to the U.S. and our allies at bay. Raytheon CRAM can identify and destroy approaching threats like missiles, drones, and helicopters.
New threats from non-state actors, lone wolf terrorists. It's a complex and challenging defense environment.
This technology is a rapid response in less than a year to a request by the U.S. Navy, which is arming 4 of its destroyers in Spain with the CRAMs.
CRAM is a technical marvel, an example of American ingenuity that combines the highly successful Phalanx close-in weapon system, which has been built here by the great Americans in Louisville for the last 35 years. It combines that with the Navy's best anti-ship cruise missile, the Block II rolling airframe missile, which also has many components built here in Louisville.
One event has taken place in 35 countries around the world and brought out thousands and thousands of people. It's Flugtag.
Flugtag is basically a competition that Red Bull has been doing for numerous years around the world, and they enlist crazy, bold, energetic people to create their own man-made devices and launch them off a huge platform into a body of water. And this year it's coming to Louisville. So it's the first time it's ever come to Louisville, so super excited about it. It's a big deal. We want to have a big crowd, and it's free to attend, and it's great entertainment. So you're watching these crazy people launch off of this ramp. So anything from like you built this in your backyard to incorporating some engineering and real thought process.
So I teach at Mercy Academy. I teach art, and I also teach engineering and design. So a long time ago, I saw the Flugtag on TV and knew I always wanted to at least see the Flugtag. A coworker of mine told me that it was coming to Louisville, and so we thought, what the heck, we're gonna give it a shot and try and apply to it. And lo and behold, our idea, our concept for our flying unicorn got accepted, and really fantastic because I can tie it into my curriculum that I teach. We study a lot about flight. We do a lot of engineering work, studying how to build things, the different components that make things work. So all summer long, it's stuff that I've basically been able to use as a continuation of the things that I've taught in class for the past couple years.
Flugtag!
Well, we've had a pretty regular group of students that have been helping us out all summer long, and to be honest, I couldn't have done a fraction of it without them. They've been amazing through everything.
Learned how to use a lot of power tools.
Yeah. Learned how to construct and measure.
And sculpt.
Yeah. I'm excited, but nervous at the same time because I wanted to fly, but I'm nervous it won't.
We're really making an effort to create a craft that's going to fly. We want something that's going to be incredibly comical to look at. It's going to hopefully, when it's all done, look like a giant stuffed animal with wings. Oh, I'm very serious. I want to fly. I want to win.
Well, we're Team Thrilla in Louisville, and when we heard Red Bull Flugtag was coming to Louisville, we just thought there was no possible way that there could not be a team that wasn't honoring Muhammad Ali.
I'm gonna float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. George can't hit what his hands can't see.
Well, I think this vehicle's gonna win, and if you even dream of beating us, you better wake up and apologize.
Now you see me, now you don't. He think he will, but I know he won't. The champ is here!
That fires, it's the burning desire from Muhammad Ali, the passion and the fighting and everything, but mostly to keep the bugs away.
Our craft is a bumblebee with a boxing ring in it, you know, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
You might think this is a heavy vehicle to fly, but then again, Ali was a heavyweight, wasn't he?
I think what's really important is that when you watch these events, you get a lot of crafts that are like hang gliders or stuff that's really thinking about flying, and I get that. Flugtag is flight day, right? And you get all these engineers, but I think what really makes our team great is that we're just a bunch of guys from Louisville. We're doing just hard work. We're putting this together piece by piece. We're working hard in the gym and the garage, just like Muhammad Ali did, right? And so we really want the everyman spirit that Ali had. We're trying to embody that in everything we do.
Looking forward to a lot of people being on the waterfront, a lot of people cheering us on, and a lot of people expecting some big things from our group, certainly.
Really, it's just been, all in all, an awesome experience. It's kind of hard to put into words how much fun we've had, even though it's only gonna go through the air however far it goes once. It's been a great time.
Everybody should go because it's going to be a crazy show.
Lift off! Yes! We have flight! Go, go,
go! And with that, the newly renovated Edison building in Old Louisville was dedicated. The 120,000 square foot main building has been transformed into modern, open-plan office space for the 300 Metro employees from APCD, Community Services, and other divisions who were moved from the Barrett Government Center. In addition to the main building, 2 other buildings on the site are also being revitalized. The 3,000 square foot Gatehouse building at 7th and Dumnall Streets will house Lexington-based North Lime Coffee and Donuts, and the Louisville Leopard percussionists will be relocating to the warehouse building on the north end of the property. Construction has started to expand UPS's Centennial Hub on Air Commerce Drive near Outer Loop.
UPS.
The more than $300 million investment will triple the size of the package facility and double its current sorting capacity to 85,000 packages per hour, as well as adding 300 new jobs.
$6 billion in capital being invested in the city. Right now, we've never seen this level of investment taking place in Louisville, so the eyes of the world are on our city for our workforce and our quality of place and our quality of life, and UPS sees that, and we certainly are grateful for that from our community. We're delighted to be your all's partner.
Overall, the changes are expected to improve speed and service for UPS customers. The expansion will take place in 3 phases and is expected to be complete in 2020.
By now, you've probably heard about the 4 teens in Louisville who are mowing lawns for free. Well, the community recently gathered to show its appreciation for all of their hard work.
They're just out cutting grass. And that's how they saw it. They didn't think it was a big deal or anything.
She sent me out and didn't know that I really liked it, so I cut more than what she expected.
I get the inboxes of the dresses that need to cut, and we go from there. We hit one area and we try to get all the houses that's in that zip code. And then, we move on to the next. It's definitely been hundreds because we've been all over Louisville. South End, East End, West End, Newburgh, J-Town. They're helping every and anybody that they can.
They're building value and enriching lives around them. Not only the lives of their neighbors, but their own lives as well.
When I was first started cutting, I didn't expect it to get this huge.
1, 2, 3.
It was just an easy connection once we heard the story and heard how inspiring these young men, what they're doing to serve their community.
There definitely is no words.
The mother, Barbara, talked about them storing their equipment in their basement. They can't be storing their equipment in the basement. This is our garage, and that made sense for them. So they have the roll-up door, the actual side door for their entrance there.
I'm glad that my mom put me on this punishment because it got big.
On 3, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely beyond our greatest expectation.
All right, guys. Thank you.
It's definitely a blessing.
The teens mostly mow on weekends now that school started up again. If you'd like to learn more, check out their Facebook or Kickstarter pages. With our hectic lives, it can be challenging to connect with our neighbors, let alone learn the history of our communities. Take a look at one area whose residents are taking time to do just that.
You've probably been through this busy intersection of Hikes Point, where Browns Lane and Hunsinger meet Taylorsville Road. Fast food and shopping malls line the way.
Good morning, how are you today?
As drivers whiz by. Everyone's on their way somewhere. It's not the place you'd expect to hear
Stretching my comfort zone.
or find.
I like the details.
Usually there's not art places like this.
The reactions are as colorful as what's going on.
First time I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. We're helping paint a mural for the back of the Big Lots. It's really fun.
This doesn't seem like a likely place for a mural project.
Dave Nicklees, who is a manager of the properties here, had decided they were going to repaint this and called and said, we'd like to do something different with that wall. Where do we go from there? And I said, well, there's this neat program called the Paint Project.
All right, guys, you ready?
Center for Neighborhoods Paint Program stands for Producing Art and Neighborhoods Together. We are a community organization and desiring to build great neighborhoods, and we believe public art is a significant part of that.
It's definitely piqued the community's interest.
So what is this little house here?
When General Electric came to town, that's the reason this area was developed. And they built all these little neighborhoods.
Artist Liz Richter is behind the concept for the piece.
I got stuck on the triangle and I realized that that was a good way to break down a timeline and to separate the eras in a way that made sense.
Colorful shapes separate historic panels. From the very beginning of Hikes Point in the 1700s.
George Hikes was my great-great-great-great-grandfather, and he came here in 1790 from Pennsylvania.
Members of the community have offered up photos and many, many stories to help fill in those once blank historical panels.
They had a grist mill and a small distillery and regular commerce to support the burgeoning community of Louisville.
So I was gonna kind of spike it up more.
Taking a trip back to their past and a very different time.
This corner during the early part of the 20th century was just full of gas stations. Photo archives of Courier Journal of women pumping gas during World War II, and I thought it was a nice nod to what was going on at the time, and then also because there's 3 of them, it kind of represents me and my 2 female interns banging out this mural.
Kids are an important element of this project.
I'm very passionate about including an educational element whenever I can, and also just getting the public involved in art projects and letting them feel ownership of the project.
We worked on fixing up and kind of just straightening out the different
triangles and different shapes around.
I can definitely tell you guys went back and touched up the white too. It looked really a lot better. High school groups that are focused on art coming to work on details, all the way down to elementary schools coming to visit. Wow, that was fast. Once the picture parts are finished, I'll send some stuff to your schools about the history for you to learn more about it.
I thought that the wall just kind of took up a lot of space, and now there's art on it and people can come and look at it and enjoy it.
It's important to involve a wide variety of students. That way at each level they're getting some experience working on a mural. These scale of projects don't happen very often.
It's an ambitious project. The main wall is 180 by 18 feet alone, and it took longer to complete than originally expected.
I'm happy to say that we have 2 female interns that are working with me.
I've talked to Liz a lot about her planning process for the mural and how she found out about the opportunity and like other opportunities that she's looking into, and she's a pretty good role model.
It's really important to me to get to involve other girls because this is a very male-dominated field. Back and forth between black and white. Women teaching women about the arts is just about as good as they can get.
It's clear to see, through the traffic and strip malls, that this spot of color has truly impacted members of the community.
It's just beautiful, and beautiful things make me want to paint.
Our hope is that the mural kind of captures what Hikes Point is to us, not just what it was when we were little kids, but what it's grown into, and this is a unique place.
And possibly even created new dreams for the future.
It was just neat to see people really kind of re-engage with their history in maybe a way they haven't in a while. And a project like this in our paint program, I think really allows then that conversation to carry forward for the next generation.
For more information about paint projects, call the Center for Neighborhoods at 589-0343.
Thousands of young people learned valuable job skills this summer thanks to the Mayor's Summer Works program.
Summer was probably one of the greatest events to ever happen in my life. I mean, it was probably more than what you would expect going into your first job. I think that I learned so much and I've matured in a way that I couldn't even explain.
From the fire department and EMS to GE, there was a stronger focus of placing kids with their career interests this summer.
Hello. Hi.
This is the Grace Street Farmers Market.
Would you like these? I love pictures.
We typically have about 13 vendors.
Last week I couldn't hardly give the honeydews away, but this week maybe word's out on them. It'd be $5.15. We can call it even $5.
We have a new program called Double Dollars.
Hey, look at that.
It's a good thing.
We've got $1,500 from the Community Farm Alliance. Last week we went through over $400.
This your first time at this market?
Yeah. And that allows us to actually match dollar for dollar the amount an individual spends using their SNAP card or their food stamps.
You don't have to spend it all today.
And if someone shows us their senior vouchers, we actually give them $12 in tokens. That's a one-time thing.
Would you like a sack for that, ma'am?
No, I got a card here. Thank you. I'm getting some good things. Love tomatoes. Got me some honey. Very pleased with it.
It's nice to be able to give someone new information that's going to put a smile on their face. When we tell them that they could get more money, they are thrilled.
$5 a tomatoes? They're really eager to get as much produce as they can. Good stuff too.
How much are these?
They're $2 each. We don't feel that quality food like that should only be for the well-to-do.
Just makes the customers happy and we're all enthused.
I think this is a wonderful thing that they're doing. You just can't beat it.
Louisville's home to the Kentucky Derby, Muhammad Ali, and now the largest electric bus fleet east of the Mississippi.
These buses combined will result in a one-year elimination of more than 30,000 pounds of harmful emissions into the air.
6 of the 38C electric buses will run on Route 4 between downtown and Iroquois Park.
You have an agency here willing to take a lead, willing to step out and demonstrate that this technology was reliable, it was cost effective, and that it was going to do a lot to save emissions.
Those new buses replace 16-year-old diesel models, some with as many as 600,000 miles on them. These new buses will save about 60,000 gallons of diesel fuel a year and also reduce harmful emissions, decreasing the impact on the environment.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of the 502 Report. Until next time, take care.
Metro TV, a public service of Louisville Metro government.